the word of the day. The word of the day today is destruction. Because that's what that was yesterday. A complete and utter destruction of the Cowboys. Now, a lot of people going into the game in the media and stuff, oh, this is going to be a close game. Oh, I'm so worried. Dallas is playing good football. I'm worried that the Eagles are going to lose, and then they'll have to play all their starters against the Giants. Though that sentiment was rampant around the city. And then it went away for a little while after the CJ-GJ pick six, which we'll get to. Then it came back because Dallas scored one damn touchdown. And from that moment on, that was one of the most complete whoopings we've seen from a team. A complete whooping with a backup quarterback, a legendary third-string quarterback who will be remembered in this town forever, Club Tyrone member Tanner McKee. The defense first forced 4 more turnovers. And as a matter of fact, Savannah, actually get the Micah Parsons thing ready, too. He already, before we even move on, I think we broke this dude's brain. I have to give the Philadelphia Eagles credit. Ricky Savannah, I think they broke his brain. Like, already he was ridiculous saying, I hope the Eagles lose so we get eliminated from the playoffs. That was already stupid. But I think he topped himself. Now, you all saw that game last night and yesterday. And you saw how relaxed you were. Some of you were able to go do anything during the game. Go do some laundry. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can second screen it, do something else. Some of you, I know, switched over to red zone. But you know the Eagles dominated, period. There was no doubt about it. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. It was a complete and utter destruction. Micah Parsons. I'm telling you, Penn State, I got you winning on New Year's Eve. But you got to account for this guy, okay? You got to account for him, Penn State people. I know we have Saquon. Saquon, I know you just went over 2,000 yards. You got to account for this. You getting 2,000 yards broke this man's brain. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Tanner McKee, Kenny Pickett, Jalen Carter. You broke his brain. Listen to this fool.
I mean, you look at their play, I mean, they have 2 big runs and 3 good deep shots. Other than that, we made them earn it, and you take away the scoreboard. It was about 5 plays that decided this game. And you hate to say that because it's a lot of football, but, you know, the 2 deep shots to Devontae Smith and the one to A.J. Brown, and then also Devontae on that slant, you know, for the most part, we were making them earn it. 3 yards, 2 yards, 4th and 1s, which is good football for when you play a team like the Eagles.
What the hell game was he playing in? Seriously.
This is how big of a destruction it was. It took a guy who's a great football player, a lot of people like him in the city because of the whole Penn State connection and all that. The Eagles broke his brain. His brain don't work no more. And I said it like that for a reason. You can't use proper grammar and diction when you got a guy sounding like him. The Eagles yesterday, and we'll talk about the future and the NFCs and all of that stuff. But one of the things that made that destruction so nice is that they destroyed that dude's brain. After the game, he didn't know what to say. And I'm sorry, I'm not mature enough. I am not enlightened enough. I am not a person who can look at Dallas suffering and not take pleasure in it. And yes, they had an NFC East chance, but I knew that was going to happen. The 2 seed is not a surprise for this show. But I didn't know, Ricky, that by 5 o'clock, that dude would be speaking gibberish in the locker room.
The Dallas Cowboys had 1 good drive.
The whole game.
They looked like an NFL team for 1 drive, and it was in the first quarter. After that, it was all – and that's after they gave the Eagles 6.
Right.
So what are you talking about? Come on. Micah Parsons, you know what? Just sit back and watch your Penn State play on New Year's Eve because that's where we are right now. You are a disaster. Yes. You know what? He needs to get the hell out of Dallas because it's not only playing with his wins and losses, it's playing with his mind. This guy is a mess right now.
He's a mess.
He is a mess. How could you look at that game and say, well, there were only 4 or 5 plays? Oh, wait a minute. It's a 50-yard play, 40-yard, 30-yard. Oh, they're all touchdowns. It's only 5 of them. We only give up 5.
Hey, Micah. You know, outside of the iceberg, the Titanic was a wonderful cruise.
I am so lost right now. I had a beautiful flight right up till we crashed in the ocean. It was perfect.
What are you doing?
Come on. What are we really talking about? You got whooped. This is a whooping.
Yes.
I'm sorry. If you go in there and say, well, we got beat by one play and it was tipped up in the air and it was caught in the end zone, yeah, go ahead and say that. This was not that. This was everybody getting into the act. And by the way, Micah, guess who didn't play? Jalen Hurts was not on the field. The Eagles used number 2 and number 3 quarterbacks in this game.
Right.
What? Are we watching something differently than he did? Because obviously we must have. Because what I watched was a whitewashing. And the funny thing is Dallas had a bunch of time in possession in the first quarter. I think I think it was 10 out of the first 10 minutes.
They had the ball some, then you get the pick 6
They
and
only
they get
ended
the ball
up with
back.
27 in the game. Think about that. So they had 17 minutes the last 3 quarters of the game.
It's unbelievable that the kind of whipping it was. And the reason I'm focused
I would have followed up by what part of the game did Dallas dominate?
They dominate or were competitive at. Like now think about
You
this.
gave up way too many yards on the ground, way too many yards in the air to a number 2 and number 3 passers. Where did you go right?
They didn't. Saquon gets his 2,000. They got everybody on the sideline at the end. Damn near everybody. They took out 3 offensive linemen. They took out the whole defensive line.
Which is rare.
Right. They took out 3 of the only ones that stayed in were Jurgens and Malata. Dickerson and all them, they were all out of the game. Like, CJ's out of the game.
The more you think about what he said, the more confused you get.
And that shows you how thorough the whooping is. And that's a reminder for the local fans. I'm not hating. I'm just saying this team's really good. Don't let a Washington fluky game. What I mean by that is you get 5 turnovers and you score hardly any points off of it. That's a fluky thing that just happened. You saw what happened when they got 4 the next game. They scored off of all of those. And the thing that made it the sweetest for me is as a long-time Tanner McKeesman. We'll get to our Popeyes plays of the game in the next segment. But as a long-time McKeesman, and there's a certain guy named Tom that used to work here, who used to hate on him. And I was texting with Tom yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Still bleep
Wow.
you, Tom, for leaving. But anyway, now let's get to the play, to me, where I was like, you know what? Are you kidding me? And it ended up causing all the controversy. Go ahead, somebody.
3rd and 8. Looks like going to put it on McKee. Calcaterra's in the backfield with it. McKee floating for the end zone. He's got an NFL touchdown to A.J. Brown.
You hear that crowd roaring for Tanner McKee? That was a special McKee-led roar from the crowd. When it gets to the point where your third stringer is throwing dimes to people, right, it reminds you how good this football team is. And I think during the victories, right, I think some of us, as a collective we, weren't fully recognizing this is a really good football team. There were times where they noticed and then they would nitpick. Then they lose a game, and there was some, not all, not most, but some were like, it could get hairy down the stretch. And they took, as a mature football team does, they went out there and made it a no. Every fan that was concerned, nervous, or any. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you know you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.